guys! Welcome back to another album review. Today is actually going to be a new album review for once and not another throwback review to like 1999 like I always do. So yeah, that's something to be celebrated. And another thing that's to be celebrated is how I actually have a CD to show off in this video for once. Yeah, I pre-ordered this and I got it today on release day. When I open it, that is what it looks like. I'm gonna pull out the booklet real quick, show you it real quick, and then I'll get into the review. Okay, here's the album cover. Man, I was so excited for this record. And then here is all the lyrics. It's in really, really small print and it's really hard to read. So that is a little bit annoying. And then you fold it open, you get this kind of poster thing of the band. The back has the track listing, and that's kind of hard to read too. But yeah, this album is one that I've been anticipating for a really long time because, shoot, the second I got into these guys, which was like, what, 4 months ago, around there, I heard that they were going to release a new album in September, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. I chose to get into them at the right time, you know. I was really anticipating this because I really loved their self-titled album, which was released back in 2014, and so they released a lot of singles for this album, The Stories We Tell Ourselves. This album has 18 tracks on it, so I'm gonna go track by track, but I'm gonna try to go quickly because this album review is gonna be really long anyway. So let's just start off with track 1 called Ambition Destruction. Now, there are 6 tracks on this album with very similar titles, and what these are interludes basically. There is no lyrics in any of these, but some of these have talking in them, just kind of speaking, and some like kind of calm instrumentals. And they lead well into tracks. It really helps the transitions, it really helps this album feel like a whole album, you know? Really helps the listening experience, I think. So this is just an intro. It's really just a bunch of voices and sounds and just chaos for about 18 seconds. And then it goes into track 2 called Do You Really Want It? This one has kind of a nice moody guitar riff in the intro. It kind of reminded me of Lose Yourself by Eminem at first, and then it just explodes into this main riff, and it's huge and so energetic. The lyrics are inspired, and they discuss how people could change the world if they only changed themselves first, which no one is willing to do. And it is pretty true, you know, if you think about it. You know, it's a pretty good opener, and I also love Johnny's singing at the end of this track because he does this really nice vibrato with his voice when it's just like a cappella for the last like 3 seconds of the song. And then we go into track 3, which is another interlude. I do think this should have been left off the album. I don't really think this one was necessary. I don't think it adds that much. This one is called Convict Divide, and this one is an interlude that's about 40 seconds long. It has talking in here, and it sounds really apocalyptic and dramatic. There's hardly any instruments here, which kind of make it feel longer than it really is. However, it does lead perfectly into track 4. And track 4 is Let 'Em Burn, which was a single, which was a perfect idea for a single. Yeah, I already gave my thoughts on this song in my, you know, Nothing More track reviews, where I reviewed the 5 singles, but seriously, I gotta just sum it up again real quick. It's a burst of really catchy, unrelenting energy and firepower. It's literally one of the best political songs I've ever heard lyrically. Like, look, I'm not really into political songs, political stuff in general. You know, I tend to stay away from that. But I do think this was really well written. I think there is a slight repetitive feeling to it in the chorus, but it really works well, especially because the second and third chorus add more lines to it to make it less repetitive. And it's just an anthem, it's easy to sing along to, it's great in every way possible. Now, track 5 is Ripping Me Apart. This track is really unique. It starts out really quiet and with these kind of muted guitars, but you can tell by the melody that it's gonna build, you know, you can tell it's just the beginning. And the second part of the verse where the guitars just ring out It's amazing. It gives me kind of Tool vibes in a way. The pre-chorus is kind of an acquired taste because there's a lot of like electronic effects. Even though it sounds kind of disconnected from the rest of the song, it's not a big enough disconnection for me to like complain about it. Even though it is a little bit jarring. The bridge is extremely intense. The lyrics are very descriptive and aggressive and full of emotion, and Johnny executes this perfectly. The only thing I have to complain about when it comes to ripping me apart is the ending sounding just like Here's to the Heartache from the self-titled album. So track 6 is Don't Stop. This is really an acquired taste. A lot more than the pre-chorus of Ripping Me Apart. This track was not a good idea for a single, I don't think. It's not a bad song by any means, but it is not like them at all to make a song like this. I do like it alright though. The verse is still kind of cringy and overdone as ever with the shrill vocals, but it builds up to the chorus really well, and the chorus itself has so much energetic musical proficiency that is not to be underestimated or overlooked, especially in the bass line here. And the bass line shines the most, I think, with the rest of the instruments in the amazing last chorus. The bridge is a little too strange and random for my liking though. Overall, this isn't really one of my favorites, but it's not one of my least favorites either. Track 7 is Funny Little Creatures. This song title really took me off guard. I was like, huh? What even is this, you know? The verse is really interesting with a lot of like dynamics to it, and it leads into the kind of straightforward rock kind of chorus nicely. The song title does end up making more sense within the context of the lyrics because it's comparing like traits, good and bad about people, you know, like lust and blame and ambition, you know, all those traits, and it's comparing those traits to creatures, I guess. The transitions from chorus to verse is very sudden, and it definitely took me off guard on first listen. It has its moments in its big chorus, but it's not really one of my favorites. Track 8 is React Respond. This is another interlude, and it is for sure my favorite off of the album. My favorite interlude, that is. It is the longest interlude, clocking in at, I think, about 2 minutes and 23 seconds, if I remember right. The bass line here is very simple, doesn't really do much, but it successfully kind of creates this dreadful atmosphere. This interlude is discussing fear and why it's a bad idea to be afraid of fear, because it creates like an endless chain of being afraid of fear, being afraid of being afraid of fear, and so on and so forth. It also leads into track 9 flawlessly, and track 9 is The Great Divorce. Now, some of you might have noticed that this is now my intro, and for a reason. It's probably because it's like my favorite on here. Yeah, this verse has a really good like sense of darkness, and the guitars complement Johnny's passionate singing just perfectly. I get a lot of vibes from like A Perfect Circle in this song. I don't know if anyone else gets that vibe, but I do with this one. And the chorus honestly sounds like a prog metal chorus with the guitars doing these elaborate arpeggios. Yeah, I love the intensity of the verse and chorus. The bridge is something that needs to be discussed also because it's pretty much like a dubstep type bridge. It is very strange, and the shredding guitar in the end of the bridge carries on into the last chorus. It's pretty much perfect. Track 10 is Still in Love. When I heard the song title to this, I was thinking, oh no, another stereotypical love song. It's actually done pretty well, and I really don't mind this one. It's probably not one of my favorites, but it's still pretty good. This song is pretty straightforward, easy to understand. I like the mellow guitars in the verse and everything. The bridge is the climax of the song, of course, because most Nothing More songs are like that. There's a lot of emotion in this one, and it feels like Johnny is just crying out. When I hear the bit in this song where it says, I tried over and over, I can't help thinking about the I want bit from Mr. MTV. Track 11, Alone Together. This is a very smooth song transition from track 10 to 11. It has a glitchy kind of guitar riff, or it might even be a keyboard, I'm not sure. And there's kind of these strings. This interlude sounds very serene and peaceful, but then towards the end of it, it kind of builds up with this kind of stomping percussion. and then it leads right into track 12, which is Go to War. It's the definition of a single song. I mean, it's just so catchy, and it just sums Nothing More up so well. The chorus is huge and anthemic, the verses are pretty short, and the chorus is overall the biggest highlight of the song and the most memorable part of the song, I think. The bridge does have a pretty catchy melody too. The whole thing is just a sing-along song, I think. Yeah, the lyrics are very well written as usual, and it fades out pretty well also. Track 13 is Just Say When. I have to talk about this one again. This is easily the weakest song here. This song is only getting more annoying each time by the listen. Sadly, this song just wasn't really executed well. When it comes to the album itself, the transition between Go to War and Just Say When is so shocking that I think there should have been an interlude placed in between those two tracks. The acoustic guitar just ruins it. It's just not subtle enough. It doesn't work. The chorus drags, the lyrics are cliche. Track 14 is Accept Disconnect. This is my second favorite interlude on the record. It's very moody, it's very well done. I love the gentle, precise acoustic guitar riff in here. The track is kind of peaceful and kind of dark at the same time. I like how the talking doesn't come in until the last 20 seconds or so. It kind of gives you a minute to just wind down and listen to this really nice acoustic guitar in here. Track 15 is Who We Are. This was the 5th single, which I shouldn't have listened to, but I did because I couldn't help myself. Yeah, transition between tracks 14 and 15 could have been a lot better, but I understand that Who We Are was the last song they wrote for this record, so they probably didn't expect it to, it probably didn't fit in with the record, so they just threw it on here, That's fine. This song is fantastic. I mean, honestly, it's anthemic in every way possible, energetic, great guitar breakdown, great guitar work in general, fast-paced verse, the lyrics are really encouraging for Nothing More, and just everything about this song really shines, and it is a good single song. Track 16 is Tunnels, and there's a really interesting effect on Johnny's voice during the verse of this song. It's kind of like a wavering effect where it kind of produces this artificial vibrato. And it sounds pretty cool. It really does improve the atmosphere of this track. There isn't too much to say about this track, but it has a nice kind of moody ending that flows very well into track 17. And overall, the metaphors on this track are pretty well done. It's pretty well written. It's just a bit too straightforward for me and I don't know. It's just another rock song. It's good for what it is. Track 17 is End Begin. This was kind of a pointless interlude, I think. I don't think it was needed here. For a while, when I was first listening to this, I was like 25 seconds into this interlude, and I was like, what? Wait, is that Tunnel song still going on? Because honestly, the transition is so smooth that you don't even notice the track change. You still think it's the end of Tunnels. This track sounds a bit more happy than some of the others. It's not really that special though, and I think it could have been left off. And now we talk about track 18, which is the closing track, Fade In, Fade Out. This is a masterpiece. This track is about generations passing, people getting older, families getting older, passing on general knowledge to your children. It really is executed well. They could not have picked a better closer. I mean, the song starts out kind of quiet. It builds up to the huge chorus though. The bridge though is where the song starts to sound really special though. And this is where I started listening really hard and I turned up the volume. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Because honestly, the chord progression is so beautiful. It's just magnificent. The backup vocals are great. I love how the song continues after the 4-minute mark, when you would expect it to end. The strings come in gradually around this time. It's just phenomenal. So for my overall thoughts, holy crap, this is nothing short of an impressive and phenomenal masterpiece. They're still the same Nothing More from the self-titled era, but they also do try a few new things here, like Don't Stop. And some very good experiments like Ripping Me Apart, The Great Divorce. Honestly, this album is full of energy, full of power. That's what makes Nothing More, Nothing More. And the lyrics are mostly strong here. I'd say they're a bit stronger than on the self-titled album, which was really nice to see. The interludes were overall a good idea. I enjoyed most of them, except for Convict, Divide, and End Begin. they did such a great job with this, and I'm still blown away. I'm gonna have to give it a very strong 9 out of 10. I mean, shoot, if it weren't for Just Say When, Convict, Divide, and End Begin, I would give it a 10 out of 10. Which is very rare for me. I do not give albums 10 out of 10s very often. Yeah, that was my album review for The Stories We Tell Ourselves by Nothing More. I really want to hear your thoughts about this. Just leave that in the comments. And maybe give a like on the video if you enjoyed and consider subscribing. And thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video.